Star Wars is working hard to erase all of the legacy characters from the new movies coming out. It's a directive from Kathleen Kennedy, Shawn Levy giving no doubt as to whether or not it's real. Folks, we'll tell you what's going on. We didn't think we'd be covering Star Wars, maybe ever again, at least not till The Mandalorian Grogu comes out. But this one's such a big deal, we just have to say, Disney, what are you doing over there? Hello and welcome back. It is a joyous day. Every day we get to spend time with you folks. Thank you for coming our way. Click the like button, and if we have not yet earned that subscription, we're working on it hard, I tell you. Click that like button. Folks, let's dive in. Kathleen Kennedy telling Shawn Levy, don't you dare put a Star Wars character in this Star Wars movie. It's so crazy, except, well, we've seen this before with Kathy. Out of comicbookmovie.com. Starfighter's Shawn Levy, a.k.a. the man who managed to lose money on Deadpool and Wolverine. How in the world did they do that? Go watch the video, folks. Details Lucasfilm's new stance on legacy characters. That's a very, I hate to do this to the website. That's kind of a boring headline considering what it's saying in the article. So why would they make it borified? Well, get ready, I'll explain. Mark Julian has this one. As more details trickle out about the growing slate of Star Wars movies in development, boy, have we ever heard more? Have we, how many times have we heard that we're getting some trickle out Star Wars stuff? It's becoming increasingly clear that Lucasfilm is steering the franchise towards fresh faces rather than relying on familiar ones. Oh, wow, really? They don't want Luke? I can't believe it. A recent example comes from filmmaker Shawn Levy. And here's what he says. He says, he explained that in the early stages of shaping the project, the movie that's coming out, Starfighter, he sat down with Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, Darth Kennedy, and suggested that bringing in a few established characters might be logical. Almost like when he went to Bob Chapek and said, hey, we're going to do this Deadpool and Wolverine movie. I think we should have Deadpool and Wolverine in it. And they said, yep, that actually makes a lot of sense. Levy went to Kathleen Kennedy and said, hey, I think we might need some Star Wars characters in a Star Wars movie. And she said, no. You see, because it says, however, Levy's candid remarks on a recent podcast about the early development of Starfighter underline just how determined Kennedy and the rest of Lucasfilm are to steer the franchise onto a different path, a.k.a. to forget about the past. After their last trilogy's uneven reception from fans and critics alike, the studio appears intent on redefining its future rather than going back to familiar territory. Levy, appearing on a podcast from the playlist, stated that he was surprised by Kennedy's response, which was, every time I've asked, should I use this character that was maybe in that movie? Every time it's, you know what? People have seen that. Do something new. There is no mandate or interference other than the constant encouragement, make this new. And that's the truth. Unlike Solo, unlike Rise of Skywalker, which was a sequel to 2 other movies and ultimately a 9th film in the Skywalker saga, Starfighter is all new characters based on new ideas that Jonathan and I cooked up alone and together. Now, guys, what that would suggest, if it's true, is that Daisy is not going to play Rey in the new Star Wars movie. And if that's true, if that's the change that has happened, then I'm starting to think there is no Rey return to Star Wars on the way. What say you?
I'm fairly sure that when she says people have seen that already, it involves characters that were created before the year 2015.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I think her characters, use them as much as you want. I think Disney has the opposite take from her, which is why the hunt for Ben Solo never happened. They're like, no, people don't want that. Go back to, other legacy characters. But she's the one, ultimately clearing all of this stuff. And she does not want any Lucas era characters popping up. Do something new. Yeah, because that's what people want from Star Wars. They just want things that they've never, ever seen before. Not classic things that give them that feeling of Star Wars again. But you know what? Then again, at the same time, if they were to use, like they use Ki-Adi-Mundi and Yoda and the Acolyte, they would have ruined Yoda in a second season of that. So I'm all for it. Don't use any classic characters.
Well, do we find it at all odd that we've got a Star Wars movie and the guy who's been so successful, or at least seemingly successful with Deadpool and Wolverine, comes in for a meeting and says, I think what we need here in this Star Wars movie are some Star Wars characters. And the lady in charge of the Star Wars characters says, Actually, no, we don't want to do that at all. We're not going to do Star Wars characters. We don't want that. Screw that. No, we don't. We're not going to give them Luke. No, we're not going to give them Anakin. No, we're not going to give them all these characters that they actually desire to see heroic and all that kind of stuff. Remember how successful they were with The Mandalorian season 2 finale? The last time they were successful with Star Wars? What made it successful? That guy on the screen showed up and was heroic. Now, you might not like Mark Hamill. A lot of people don't. But a lot of people still love Luke. And they will not do it. They can't stand it. They won't do it. And it would not surprise me still if Mara Jade is in this and has no connection with Luke whatsoever. That would not shock me at all. Jonas, is that what you think they might do with this one? And are you surprised that even Kathleen Kennedy is so dense that when the guy shows up and says, you know what? I need some Star Wars characters. And she says, nah, not really. Go make some stuff up.
You know, actually, I was thinking about this from a different angle. I was thinking, well, what is the lie here and what are they trying to communicate? Because that's usually what I assume is that they're coming from a place that's a little bit disingenuous. So I think about the press around The Acolyte, in which Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland put it out there that, oh, well, I've made a Star Wars thing. But Kathy said, you know what? We need to make this a Leslie Headland thing. I think that that's the kind of thing that the producer would want out there to try to say, no, we're making something genuine. We're making art here as opposed to consumer product. I think that when Shawn Levy says, you know, they said don't use all the old people on this, that maybe that's a statement that they're going to be getting away from, you know, using Rey and Finn and Poe and Rose Tico. You know, there's so many questions about who the existing characters are at this point. And I think that the rumor is that they're trying to deliver this child to Rey Skywalker anyways. So
that's the rumor. But if they've done away with Rey, which I just can't believe that.
I don't believe that they would be doing that anyways. And if they do, it'll be like they'll hint at her being the one for the entire film or something like that. And they show up and, oh my goodness, it's Rey.
Well, Culture. Let me switch over to Culture and just ask this, because Culture, I see you're chomping at the bit here. Culture, if we go into the Mandalorian Grogu movie and it's not successful, all they have left is Starfighter. Okay, and that's how we end the Kathleen Kennedy era. Culture, if they don't have any Star Wars characters in this to drive audience attention, like if Mando and Grogu falls flat on its face and they don't have any Star Wars characters to get you into the theater to see Starfighter, I'm sorry, Shawn Levy without a hook is just like anybody else who doesn't have a reason for people to look at the movie.
And it's weird because we're talking about two separate issues, right? We don't even pretend that Disney can create a new Star Wars character because they really
want the franchise. If they say to them, you know, this would be like buying Batman, and then when somebody comes to you and says, you know, we're going to need Batman in the movie, and you say, nah, which is problem too. And this is something that I need somebody else to explain to me. I went out as Bob Iger and bought Star Wars so I could have all of these characters, so I could have all of these spaceships, so I could have all of this lore and all of this history. And unlike the other things that I went out and bought, they're on a very short ticking clock. Like, I'm going to lose Marvel characters pretty soon, just like I just lost Mickey Mouse. I'm not going to be able to hold on to these things forever, but I still have about a 50-year ticking clock on Star Wars. Why would I be throwing that out the window and not utilizing all of these very familiar things that are in pop culture that people enjoy? So I'm always confused by actions like this. And then I think about the Federate lying narcissists that are actually get in control of these properties, like Kathleen Kennedy and similar ilk. And then I think, okay, these people want to make this about everything that is not going to be about the fans. And that's where we're at. And it's not going to change. I mean, we're getting a stupid Marvel show called Wonder Man in just a few weeks. I know you guys are crazy excited about that, but
nobody has any connection to Wonder Man. Nobody's interested in Wonder Man, and so therefore nobody's going to care about Wonder Man. Well, we're at that same point in Star Wars. There's not a lot to care about. If somebody like Levy comes along and introduces a new character, one that you should be familiar with or whatever, are you going to care?
Well, I'll tell you what I think is about to happen. And I agree with you. I don't know that people are going to care. Here's what I think is going to happen. And we talked about this. We've predicted it. People are making their own Star Wars with AI now. Yeah. Now, I'm not telling you this is great. I'm not telling you it's the best thing you're ever going to see, but I'm going to play a little bit of it. This is fan made. And what you got to think about is, what's it going to be like in 1 year? What's it going to be like in 2 years? Can Disney, these other studios, stop it if there's no commercial interest in it, right? Here's a little bit of it. You watch it, folks, and just imagine in the next half decade what's going to be going on as fans clamor for having something that reminds them of what Star Wars was, as opposed to the Kathleen Kennedy vision.
How's the boy doing?
He's a spirited one, even if he doesn't know it yet. Reminds me of Anakin, though less reckless. Let's hope he takes after his mother.
That's good.
Brood forever? No, I think I'll keep my sense of humor.
You believe in him?
I do. More than he knows. He has his father's strength. But I pray not his father's weakness. Still, there are times I wonder if I should speak to him, train him, guide him.
The time will come, but not yet.
All right, that's all we got to play of it, folks. I just want you to see where fan fiction is going.
Right,
and
right.
Once fan fiction exceeds what Disney can do, look out.
And that's a very operative term. Once it exceeds what Disney can do, because essentially at this point, the creativity has gone out of the company. All they are is an IP holding company. All they have are the rights to something. And it used to be a company that they would take public domain. This is a company that was infamous for taking public domain stories and making them better than the accepted general cultural versions of it. And they became the cultural versions because of that. All they have now is they have the rights to do it. And legally, you can't make the same stories that they hold the rights to. That is the only advantage that this company has at this point.
Well, you guys are discounting amazing new creations that Disney Star Wars came up with. I mean, we just had Star Wars Goonies, guys.
Well, and don't forget, culture. Who is the character who's the MacGuffin in the Mando and Grogu movie? Literally, Stinky the Hutt is his name.
Oh, God.
Stinky the Hutt. It's a Dave Filoni character. I'm not making this up. His name is Stinky the Hutt.
Oh,
really?
All of Star Wars is stinky
but
now, so.
But it's just like they've tried with Star Wars so many times to do something new. They suck at it. Skeleton Crew was terrible. And it didn't even give us the Goonies spin that they were, touting about it. They tried to make it reek of Amblin style entertainment with, E.T. and other elements in it. And it didn't work. Right. And it didn't create a new character anybody's fascinated to see. It's the same problem that they have with anything they do Marvel television wise. Nobody cares anymore.
Yep. Well, we're going to watch this play out, folks, but your least favorite franchises or your favorite franchise from what it had been to what Hollywood has made it, I think a lot of people are going to suddenly make things be what they've always wished for it to be. And I think AI is going to open that up. Now, I don't know how that's going to go in terms of the copyright issues and legal issues, and there's a big time fight on the way.
Star Wars is a property where fan projects like that used to be encouraged. Like the Troopers, which was like the take on Cops. There were so many amazing
Troops was
Star Wars
great.
fan films.
Troops was great.
So many Star Wars fan films of the past that really added to the entirety of just the sense of community around it. And since Disney has taken it, they have been striking those things down left and right. So.
Yeah.
Now, I'm getting a lot of people out there who are telling me that Stinky's name is Rod of the Hutt.
It is.
Yes, I know, folks. That's literally his name. Stinky's name is
Ahsoka calls
Rod.
him Stinky. Yeah.
How is Rod better?
And his name is Rot the Hutt. Do you get the joke? And then Ahsoka calls him Stinky. It's literally a character who's the main part about him is that he smells. Yeah. That's the character that, yay, welcome back to the theater, Star Wars. Ron, what do you think about it?
I think for me, Star Wars has been absolutely 100% ruined since they got rid of Gina Carano, and it's impossible to forgive them for that as far as the franchise is concerned. Specifically, obviously the way they did it, but also she was a fantastic character. Cara Dune, if they made a way for Cara Dune to make her return to the franchise, remember that they were supposed to give her an entire show built around her character. Since they lost her, well, they didn't lose her, they got rid of her since they kicked her out. Star Wars has just gone downhill. The writing, I think the Acolyte was all about DEI and wokeness and doing all of the wrong decisions to Star Wars and trying to inject activist preaching to a crowd that doesn't want that just want good stories. I still go back to the days when I loved Star Wars all the way up through the anticipation in 2015 for what was going to be The Force Awakens, because we thought, like, if you go back when Star Wars was first purchased by Disney, we all, I think, had a lot of great faith that something majorly interesting was going to happen. It was going to be exciting. And I remember going to Star Wars weekends in 2015, the anticipation for Force Awakens building and the loving it and the parades and the crowds. And I mean, Hollywood Studios was just flanked with people. It just, and we loved all of the old Star Wars characters and watching this. And, you know, when you take a franchise that people have that much love for and you do what Disney has done to it, it's just absolutely killed it. This whole last Starfighter thing, Ryan Gosling, I don't see a way with the time period that it's set where Rey's not going to be it. I really think that Kathleen Kennedy wants her Star Wars characters to be in this stuff, just not the legacy characters. But it's killing the fandom. Nobody cares.
If they wanted to have what they've wanted to have, which is a femme fatale Star Wars film that does well, they could have it. They could put Cara Dune, Gina Carano, with Mara Jade, two strong women to save the galaxy, and guess what? It would easily clear $1 billion. But that, they don't want it because guess what? That's real strong women. And Lucasfilm is allergic to that. And it is time to put a bow on it for this one, folks. Is a gift to everybody who wants to know exactly what's going on in the entertainment industry. And we are so joyful that you were there to receive it. We hope that you had a great time. An attitude of gratitude on this channel every single time you decide to spend time with us. As we get ready to say goodbye, we only ask a few simple things. Click that like button, share, subscribe, click it, and stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste not yours. And folks, as you get ready to head out that door, do you have a place on social media that you love to share this sort of thing? Hey, you can make this YouTube video sing by putting it out there for your friends, your family, and for those weirdos who just won't leave you alone. Folks, until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.